the border. How do you break up with your friend? I know there is no use to confront her, but how do you say this is the end? I'm through being taken for granted. I'm the one you call when nobody's home. Being with you means just disappointment.
All right.
So I've been told, don't bring that bomber to my door again, my friend. You know that you've been crying wolf too many times. Well, it's time to turn back. Those words that just sand in my head. So talk if you like. The words will be words till you bring them to life. So talk if you like.
Just start doing my jam here on the floor.
I thought you were about to start spinning in your chair, actually.
Yeah. Well,
Welcome to the show. That was St. Michael featuring Anya Gold with Talk, Talk, Talk. This is Let's Catch Up with Mike. I am your host, Mike Vatter. And spinning in his chair there is Daniel Jackson. Daniel Jackson from Beyond the Veil. Daniel, welcome to the show.
thanks for having me, Mike. I appreciate you having me on here. I appreciate you letting me sit here and dance in my chair.
Yeah, no problem. I saw you start to turn, and I thought you were going to spin in your chair there. So I thought, oh, we've got a big dancer on our hands.
Well, chair dancer. That's about
Yes.
it. Not a pole dancer or a lap dancer, but close enough.
Well, you know, chair dancing, lap dancing, it's kind of all in the same veil. So there you go. There you go. So welcome. I'm excited to have you on, and I appreciate you accepting my invitation. So what are we talking about tonight, Daniel? You are a medium of sorts.
Yes, of sorts, I guess you could say.
Yes. Tell us
I
about that.
call myself a spirit medium. I don't call myself psychic, because every time you say the word psychic, everyone wants to come up to you and say, "Hey, what am I thinking now?"
Yeah, guess my number.
Yeah, here's my number. It's number 1. Go bite it. You know? Yeah, because they always want to try to trick me, but it never works out for them. I actually do a live reading show on Facebook where I let people come in for free and ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
And once in a while, I get somebody who wants to come in and try to trick me. But unfortunately for them, the place that I get my answers from, they actually touch me for answers as well. And I get touches for yes and no answers. So when someone tries to trick me, they alert me of that. And they start asking questions, and they tell me that the person is actually lying to me. And then what happens after that is I will call them out on that. And then they get all pissed off because I was right and I called them out on it, and they try to get nasty. But
Wow.
yeah, people like to do that. Even when I'm doing readings for people, they want to see if I'm the real deal, and they want to see if I can tell them things or get answers for them before they are actually really in it. And it usually within the first 5 minutes they find out that it's real. But it takes a little bit.
That's really interesting. I've only been to and it wasn't even, well, I was gonna say it wasn't even for myself, but now that I say that out loud, it was actually I went to a reading with a friend. She was getting a reading done from one of those for lack of a better word, strip mall psychics. We were
Absolutely.
Yeah, we were driving somewhere, and she said, "Oh,
unfortunately, the person she went to was actually not real."
Oh, okay.
They're telling me that right now, that she was not real.
Okay, I was gonna say we were driving somewhere, and she said, "I want to stop in there and go." And I said, "Okay, great, I'll go with you." And my feeling was that it was not real. So I'm glad that you told me that.
Yeah.
And then my husband and I, we were not married at the time, but we were at a restaurant where there was it was an artist. I don't even know how to call it, but it was an artist kind of restaurant where they had painters and belly dancers and kind of things like that. And there was a woman who was doing readings, and she approached our table and did a reading, and it was actually very fun. And I felt that was more accurate, but I don't know if it was.
Yeah, she was real. She was
okay.
Real.
Well, there you go. It was a very surreal experience, and
was it Did they have good artists there, or did they do those like pictures where they do like a comical look of your
No,
face,
no, it wasn't caricature
like
art.
in the mall, you know?
It was an actual like the art on the walls were done by the servers and
Oh,
the
no
chefs and
kidding.
things. Yeah, so that was actually very good art, and it wasn't caricatures or it was still lifes of fruit or anything like that. It was
Yeah,
yeah.
I have no artistical talent whatsoever. When I draw a picture, my stick figures look like they have anorexia, so it's not good. Not good at all.
Yeah, but the one at the restaurant, she it was the thing that was really weird about it before the reading even started was she was putting flyers on tables, and we were at an outdoor section of the restaurant, and we were trying to figure out what, like, because she was only putting them on empty tables, like for the next there was a certain time the artists were allowed to put their stuff out, and it was not during that time yet, or we were there before the time started. We were getting ready to leave, and we saw the flyers. We were like, oh, what are they putting on the tables? And we were getting ready to leave, and one of the flyers, there was no wind. This is the coolest part, or weirdest part, I guess. There was no wind, but one of the flyers floated over to our table and landed on our table. And we were like, what on earth? Like, I'm going to use your headshot as or your one sheet as the example. And it kind of it didn't float. It just kind of plopped onto our table. And we were like, what is this?
That's
And we
some
looked
Harry
at
Potter shit right there.
yeah, and we looked at it and we were like, oh, that is so weird. And we were like,
Yeah,
we should do this. This is a sign we should do this. And it didn't have a
absolutely.
price. It didn't have a price. It was like pay what you want kind of thing and anything in the restaurant. Any of the art on the walls was make an offer, name your own price kind of thing. And we looked at it and we were like, okay, I don't know who the person is though. Like, was it the lady handing out the flyers? Was it somebody else? We didn't know. And the woman came back by again and we said, is this you or is it somebody else? And she goes, no, that's me. And we were like, okay. And she goes, do you mind if I sit? And we said, sure. And she said, no obligation. Yeah, she was like, no obligation.
Picked up on it right away.
Yeah. She said, no obligation. And we were like, okay, what do we have to lose?
Good
And
for her.
she sat down and she immediately looked at my husband, my now husband, and she said like three things right off the bat. And one of them was that he was Irish and he's got red hair and freckles. And I was like, okay, I'm out. Like, I was like, that's the most obvious thing she could have said about him. And then she said two other things that he was blown away by. And he was like, I don't even think that he pointed at me and he goes, I don't even think he knows that. And then she turned to me and she said a couple of things, one of which that I was adopted, and I am adopted. And of course I knew that, but she couldn't have known that from like context or anything that she may have overheard in our conversation. And I was like, okay, I'm back in. And
Yeah, well,
told us a
the
bunch of stuff.
One of the best parts about that is that that piece of paper landed on your table. But the best part is you picked up on that and you said, this is a sign, this has got to be something.
Yeah.
And that drew you in right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect marketing type thing, that if she was putting it on tables without any people, of course, the people who are inquisitive are going to go, hey, what's that? They're going to go pick it up. And then there you go. And then she's got a customer.
Right. But the fact that we didn't go after the paper, it was like we could have just gotten up and left, but the paper came to us.
Absolutely.
That's the part that we were like,
that's what I said. That's some Harry Potter shit right there.
It really was. It really was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you do readings on Facebook, Facebook Live, and you do readings in person as well?
Yes, I do readings in person as well. Back around from 2018, 18 or in the middle of 2017 to 18, 19, I was doing a festival circuit. I was what you would call a vetted reader, because I had to more or less audition for this company. And then I was doing that for two and a half years. But I've been doing this for I've been doing readings for about 3.5 years. I've only been a medium or only aware of it for 5 years now. But yeah, I do readings all over the place, and I do them on telephone. I do them Skype, or I send them a link, or I do them in person. I prefer to do it in person because I see more when I'm in person with someone. But just like that experience that you had, I was at a store, a crystal store, last weekend with my wife and a friend of ours. And we walked into the store and there were some people standing there. And immediately, as soon as I walked in the store, I got a message that this girl I was standing next to also had a gift and she was pretty much unaware of it. So I told my wife, I whispered to her, I have to go talk to this girl. I walked right over, started telling her things, and she was like, yes, that's what's going on. How did you know that? I said, because I'm that, that's why. And I just proceeded to tell her, because I said, you're not just getting these crystals because you're just drawn to it. I said, this, you really feel this is a part of you. I said, but you're seeing things, you're also hearing things as well. And she just kept saying, oh, how? And I said, not just that, but I said, you're a very strong empath as well. You walk into before you even walk into a building, you pick up on people's feelings. And she just grabbed my arm. She said, yes, yes, what is going on with me? And then I explained everything to her. And then, and how much did I charge her for that? Nothing.
Yeah.
Because they were alerting me that she needed to know this. So why not? Because that's what we should do, that's what we should do for people throughout the rest of the world. If you can help them, then you should, just because we can.
Right. Yeah. I firmly believe in helping people however you can, whenever you can. I mean, I think that's something that was drummed into my constitution, as at an early age by both my parents, especially my mother. You don't go past a person in need. If you're able to help them, you help them. So I firmly believe that. What I have a little bit of skepticism with, though, is, or not, maybe that's not the right word, but walking up to a complete stranger and telling them something like that, how often are you pushed away physically or emotional walls put up when you walk up to a complete stranger like that in a store?
Because well, I don't, because for a reason. So before I do that, before I walk up to someone, I talk to what I refer to as my spirit guides.
Mhm.
And what my spirit guides are just, some people have them, but as many as I have of these ones, it's different than most people. My spirit guides are what we refer to as archangels.
Mhm.
They are not men with wings. They don't have wings. They don't have a shield. They don't have a sword. They're not fighting a battle in heaven and all that bullshit. If people saw what they actually look like, it would probably scare them. But I know what they do. I know what they are, and I know what they do for me. So what I did at that point is when they told me that, I asked them, is it okay to approach her? And they said yes,
Okay.
because who they are connected to every single person on the face of this earth. As well, we are all connected to each other. But yeah, like not everybody is accepting of this. So I ask ahead of time if they would be accepting of it. And if they say no, then that's fine. But yeah, I picked up, as soon as I walked in, I started being touched, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, she's got a gift, and yeah. And then I say, is it okay to approach her? And then I get yes. And then I was like, okay, because I get touched on my face for different answers. One, it feels like a tear running down my face, and that's a no. That's how I find out when people are lying to me, or I get different touches in different places on my head for yes answers. But I know all the names of who's doing it. It started out with just 2, but now I'm up to 16, and then it's always one answer for no. So I know exactly who's doing the touching and all that stuff. But yeah, I ask the questions and I get answers, and sometimes more or less like my own actual thoughts are no longer mine anymore. It used just as of like 2 weeks ago, it was like 25% me and 75% them. Everything that comes into my mind is just mostly them. Now it's like 20% me and 80% them. And so things will come in and I just get told things. And then what I do immediately after that is ask, is that what you just told me? And then they ask to answer me yes or no for that. And it happens that fast because thoughts are that fast, because we have so many thoughts go through our mind. It's just the difference between one and the other one is some of them we act on, most of them we don't, but they're still going through all the time. So Yeah, it just happens. I've learned how to react to it that quickly, and it just happens that fast. And within like 5 seconds, I was saying, "Okay, honey, I gotta go and talk to this lady."
Do you mentioned how the archangels look? Do you physically see them with your eyes all the time, or do they appear to you off and on? Or
In the daytime, like when I'm sitting here looking at you right now,
yeah,
I see them right here next to me all the time.
okay,
If you've ever seen someone smoking a cigarette
yeah,
and smoke billows off the cigarette like little petals,
right.
that's what I see during the day right here.
Okay,
At nighttime, I see these glowing things. In the very beginning, it was just glowing things, but now, since time has passed, and they work on me all the time, and I'm able to communicate with them better. I actually see them like laying in bed, and I just see them all standing around me. Thousands of them.
okay. So you have about 16 that are kind of dedicated to you, but you see,
For all 16 of the names that I know, but how many of them are dedicated to me? So how many archangels do I actually have?
yeah,
All of them, which would mean every single one of them, which mean is thousands. There's thousands. There's not just 14 or 16 in the Bible. That Bible
oh,
stuff
okay,
is
I got
trash.
you.
Yeah,
I got what you're saying.
yeah.
So there are 16 that are like, for lack of put it like in layman's terms, there are 16 that are like your friends that you know their names, but
Yes.
there are as many out there as there are out there that
Yeah,
you
because
have access to all of them.
yeah, I can't, yeah, I have access to all of them, but I can't pronounce their names because we as humans cannot pronounce their names.
Okay,
The names that we've given them now, like this, like Michael or Uriel or Ezekiel
right,
or something like that, those were names that were given to them years ago, and now
right,
they just identify with those names. But the other names, I mean, even like your actual name, which is not Mike, which is your actual soul's name, we can't even pronounce our actual soul's name until you leave here and you go back home, because you don't come from here, you come from there. You just come here to learn lessons and fulfill a purpose. But your actual soul name is more of a sound, the vibrational thing.
I gotcha.
Just as God's name is. God's name is not really God. We just call him God because we use that term as someone being all powerful. But we
Right,
did that back in the 70s with Led Zeppelin. We call them the gods of rock and roll. So
right.
it's the same thing. It's just, but what is his real name? He has a real name. We're just not meant to know it because you're here. You're not there.
Which
When
is
you're there, you do.
which to me makes sense because different religions call him different names.
Yeah, well, that's because our religion is bullshit.
Right. So I'm glad you said that, because as somebody who is skeptical of religion, or at least organized religion, and I tend to yeah, I tend to call myself agnostic because I don't really know. I'm not an atheist. I believe that there's something,
Yes.
but I don't know what the hell it is. And I don't think organized religion has figured it out yet.
No, I've seen it.
I believe you. I believe that.
I've seen him twice.
Okay. Hold that thought, because I want to ask you about that. But I believe that I believe in angels and I believe in spirits. I don't know if I believe in anything else. And I'm not sure I believe in hell. Actually,
There is no hell.
pretty sure I don't. I'm pretty sure I don't believe in hell.
There's no hell.
I think that was made up to scare us.
Yes.
And I'm not really sure I believe in heaven, but I believe that there's something like a heaven. But I don't think it's the Christian version.
No, not.
And I believe that there's, whatever God is, I think there's something or someone like what the Christians call God, but I don't think that's the right version.
No, it's not.
So I that's why I say I'm agnostic, because I don't think anyone's really figured it out yet. And I don't think we're meant to. That's kind of the key, is I don't think we're supposed to know what's out there afterwards. But I do believe in the spiritual world. I just don't think anyone's been able to explain to me what it is yet, but I kind of don't want them to. I kind of like not knowing.
I could explain it if you really want to know.
Well, it's kind of
I
like,
I talk to them, so I know all the answers.
Yeah, I get that, and I'm not 100% sure I believe everything you're going to tell me, but I believe a lot of it. So we'll go with that grain of salt for now.
Yeah.
But I do think I do believe in the communication between the spiritual world and in our world, the living world, whatever you want to call it. Because I've had some experiences, and I think everybody has if they're open enough and aware enough
Yes.
of it.
Yes.
And I've been told enough times that I have an energy about me, and I think I've been told enough about it that I think it's true. I think we all have. I mean, everyone has energy.
Yeah, but yours is different. Yours is different. I can explain what you are too if you wanted me to.
I actually would. I was gonna get to that because I think I've been told enough by people who claim to have the connection that you're talking about that I would like to know what does that mean when people tell me I have a good energy or I have a positive connection? What does that mean when they tell me that?
Because it means your light's just a little bit brighter than everyone else's. But the reason for that is because I don't think you're actually aware of it either. But I was told 5 minutes into the conversation that you're what we would call an empath.
Okay, I've been told that too, but what does that mean?
That means that you pick up on other people's feelings who are around you, and so much so. But sometimes you do have a bit of a difficulty with that, and you aren't grounded enough to once you get those feelings to get them away from you, and sometimes they overwhelm you by the end of the day, and you feel as though they have become your feelings, and then you're not understanding why you're feeling so bad at the end of the day.
Nailed it.
You know how I know that?
How?
Because I'm the fucking medium and I can't make this shit up.
Just I told you. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I do. At the end of the day, often I feel like a wet sponge that I've soaked up everyone else's emotions and I kind of just don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, sometimes you're able to actually before you even walk into a building, you can feel them before you even walk in, and you just kind of feel like something's like, oh, something's not right here. Then you walk in, and then it's like whoosh, it's all over you. And it's like for you sometimes. This is going to make a lot of sense as soon as I say it. For you, sometimes it's like walking into a smoky room, and then you walk out and you feel like you smell like smoke the rest of the day. But it's their negative energy is what you're picking up on. It stays with you.
That's a very good metaphor. I've often felt like that's true for me. My husband and I went to an estate sale where there had been the estate sale, the person who had lived there had been murdered, but we didn't know that until after we were there. And or I guess they'd been killed. I don't know if that was actually murder.
You know what the difference is between being murdered and someone else just dying?
No.
Nothing.
I mean,
nothing. Everybody dies.
I'll say I know the legal difference, but I thought you were going to give me some
legal, but people came up with legal rules a long time ago. All that is a facilitation in order for that body to pass away.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. We were driving through a neighborhood and we saw a sign that said estate sale. We were like, oh, let's stop. This is a couple of years ago. It was before the pandemic, so we'll stop by somebody's house. And we parked in the street, and we saw a bunch of people leaving and a few people going in, and the house had a weird vibe to it. And my husband is just one of those guys who's like, oh, I'm going to go in and spend some cash and get some great deals. And I just had this feeling
because the guy who died there, he didn't leave, he didn't cross over, he's still there.
And that's what I felt like, because I didn't know why, because I didn't know anything about the house yet. But Jeff, my husband, was like, I'm ready to go in. And I was like, let's wait a second.
What the best part about Jeff is?
What?
Jeff's he's like the yin to your yang.
Oh, absolutely. He absolutely is.
You know how I know that?
Because they told you. Yeah. So he's like ready to run across the yard like a golden retriever.
And you're like, oh.
And I'm like, let's wait a minute. So he's ready to go in the house, and I'm like, something's off. But I follow my husband in because I'm not going to let him go anywhere without me. And
No.
he walks through the front door, and he kind of went, "Oh, it's cold in here." And he was already in the house, and I felt the same kind of, "Oh, it's cold in here," but I felt like I walked into a deep freezer.
Yeah.
And once he got into the house, he was like, "Oh, it's not really cold in this room." But I felt like I was in a deep freezer almost the entire house. I felt cold.
That's because when you're in it, you can't get away from it.
Right. But
Because
he walked through the cold. And I stayed, and I'm hot natured, but I stayed cold. And we got to the back part of the house where, they always have that room in an estate sale where it's like, no one's allowed in there because there's stuff that's not for sale. And they had newspapers over the windows of that room. And I was like, this is creepy. I don't want to go in. Yeah. And we didn't buy anything. We ended up leaving because I was so uncomfortable in that house. And so when we left, I forget if it was the day after or that evening, but we saw on the news there had been someone had been killed, murdered or killed in that neighborhood. And we looked at the address. It was that house. And I was
awesome.
like, I told you.
That's an open house for you, that's for sure.
Yeah. So,
yes, you walked in and it held on to you because you being that empath, it became a part of you, and that's why you remained cold.
Yeah, I've been told that before, but I didn't really know why. I've been told it enough that I believe it, but I didn't really know what it meant.
Because you're born, so I would say you're born with it, but not. What it is, it comes through with your soul every single time you come here. You just are, sometimes we are less aware of it, and then sometimes we become aware of it. Or we hear other people talk about it to us, but it just doesn't, we just end up not putting two and two together until enough people do. It makes, then you come in contact with somebody like me and you go, oh, that makes sense. And you go, yeah. And now so now you're going to research it because you should.
I am a researcher, so I will do that. And you also,
you need to learn how to do grounding work too, because to keep that negative energy away from you, because it could be detrimental to you.
Yeah, that's frightening. You hear enough people say that it's complete bullshit, so you get that hitting you on both sides of the temple, and you're an empath, you have good energy, and then you hear that's all bullshit, and you're like, well, okay, and so you kind of dismiss it as easily as you hear it.
Yeah, because people, the ones who tell you it's all bullshit, what I've come across is what people don't understand they are afraid of. And
right.
Because of that, they want to convince everybody else that it's not real. But you know what your feelings are. I mean, if you could show me, if you could take your two hands and put them together like this on camera. Okay, now can you look into your hands and say, can you show me where fear is in your hands? Or can you show me where love is? Because I know you love your husband a lot. Can you show me where anger is in your hands? No, you can't see it, can you?
No.
But you sure do make a hell of a lot of decisions on something else you can't see.
Yeah, that's a great point.
When you get a feeling inside of you and this is real and this is the way you feel, then that's what you should follow. Not follow somebody else because they want to give you a bunch of shit because they want to tell you how to live your life the way they want you to live it. You live it for yourself, and that's why you have to be anyway, because in the end, you're always going to make your decisions for you anyway. You might take some advice, but it always comes down to your decision first. So why bother with anybody else's bullshit?
I like that. I really do like that. So I have to ask, this is totally personal and selfish. Two things. So I'm named Michael, and that was deliberate. Obviously the famous archangel. Does the Michael really look out for all the Michaels of the world, or is he too busy doing
No, he just looks out for everybody, that's
okay.
all. Yeah, these are human names given to us by
I know
other.
I get that, but,
But
we're told that Michael looks after Michaels, and Ezekiel looks after Ezekiel's, and Isaac looks after Isaac, and
Yeah, no, whoever's telling you that, that's bullshit.
Okay, well, it's the Catholics in my life that tell me that.
Oh my God, yeah. I have a Catholic joke for you if you'd like to know.
I'd love to.
How do you get a nun pregnant?
Fuck her.
Now you dress her up like an altar boy.
My answer wasn't wrong.
Yeah, well, it wasn't, but just different. That's all.
Right.
Yeah, religion and all that stuff. That's a bunch of, here's the thing, especially for us being who we are, being alive and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Even your mom and dad, or even if you don't know who your real mom and dad is, you don't need to worry about that anyway.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry about being, as you said, adopted, because here's the thing. The only thing that we do in this participation as people is we create the human body. That's all we do. They don't create what's actually inside of you, which is your soul.
Mhm.
That's created somewhere else. That soul comes here, and in order to learn physical lessons and fulfill a physical purpose, it has to be in a physical body. So that part's created here, but they don't create what makes you you. That was created back there. And so you're never alone. You have a real family. It's called the soul family, and that's back home. You're just learning lessons here and fulfilling a purpose. That's all. When you get back there, you'll understand it more. That's all.
Gotcha.
You'll know you have, because when you get back to heaven, or what we call heaven, heaven's 100,000 times better than you can ever imagine. It's not, that's just the name that we've given it, but it's just another place. But when you get there, you just don't know the 200 or 300 people you met there in your entire life here. You know everybody. And
Yeah.
I mean, so there's 7 billion people here. You know every one of them when they get back home, and more, because there's more there. Because you've been here a bunch of times. You've had other previous lives. Let me ask how many? 28. So you're on number 28 now. You've had 27 other lifetimes, meaning 27 other different sets of parents, 27 other sets of brothers and sisters, dogs and cats, all that stuff. You're just on number 28 now. And for the reason being that we're here to fulfill a purpose. We don't do it enough in each of our lifetimes. They would want us to do it more, but because we don't do it enough, you just keep getting sent back over and over again. That's all. But what I try to teach people to make sure or ensure for them that they need to fulfill it, because you don't want to come back again. The goal, the ultimate goal, is to not to come back. But here's the thing: don't think of yourself as doing something wrong or anything, because if you go outside and look around and you see every person out in the face of this earth, they all had to come back too.
Right. And I'm glad that you said that, because I do believe, I guess what I believe lines up with that. I wouldn't say that I innately believed that, but now that you've said it, that lines up with my beliefs. So I'm glad to hear that.
Spiritual.
Yeah.
Not
So
religious.
the other thing I wanted to ask that's completely selfish.
It's never selfish if you need to know the answer, Mike. Just
So
ask.
I want to know about Marina.
Still here, you know that, correct?
She's still here?
Yeah. Still here, stands on your left side, is here as a spirit guide for you. Do you understand what that means?
I think so, yeah.
Do you understand how you can work that?
Maybe.
No, you're unaware of it. So what that means, so the true meaning of that is, as a spirit guide, they have gone to heaven and came back. Okay.
Mhm.
What that means, though, is something more. Went to heaven, instead of staying in heaven, skipped it to come back here and be with you.
Okay.
Heaven's 100,000 times better than you can ever imagine that. Instead of staying there and doing anything and everything they want to do, yeah, Marina came back here to be with you instead. Wants to look out for you. So wants to help you within some of the decisions you make, because some of the decisions you make are kind of like not the best decisions, I'm getting told. Oh, not the best decisions, because sometimes you have some self-doubt in there, and you tend to talk yourself out of things because of some self-doubt you're having. Sometimes you feel as though you're not, I don't want to say not good enough, but not good enough or not worthy of doing some of the opportunities that you've been being brought to you, and it bothers you at times. So you, instead of following through with these things, you tend to talk yourself out of them, because you just feel as though you're not good enough, but you are. You just need to have faith in that, because he does. Have faith, more faith in yourself, because you are worth it. They're putting a lot of emotions in because they want me to express this to you, because this is a hard thing for you to deal with. You need to stop walking around as though you are alone in this world, because you're not by any means. Marina is here to help you with that, and trying to help you make better decisions, to let you know that you are good enough. You're good enough to do anything that you want to do in this world. You just have to have faith in it. That's all, and let go of everybody else's idea that you aren't good enough. Because of once in a while you have some people that come into your life who are trying to drag you down a lot, and you don't need to listen to those people, because they're just not right, because they don't know anything about you. You know you. They just want to tell you how to. Again, they want to bring you down, because this is what makes their life. They actually there's two or three of them in particular that do it all the time, but they don't really know you. They just do it because they're negative people, and they want to make you feel bad, because it makes them feel good to make you feel bad. So like I always tell people, and you need to know this particularly, I don't care if it's your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your best friend, your so-called best friend, some of those, if they're not helping you to pick you up in your life, and they're not being a positive force, you need to let them go, because they're not your friends. They just do this because, but and the only reason they would come back into your life is because you allow them to come back in your life. But you have to stop allowing them to be in your life. You need to let them go, because they're not good for you. But Marina is here to help you make better decisions in that. So in the way that you can work that is if you wanted to buy something, say you wanted to buy a red car, and you asked Marina, you said, Marina, I want to buy this red car, and I would, and this is the way I want you to do it too. And this is just any decision in your life, big decision. She will help you with the big decisions. And you can ask her, but you need to say this out loud and say, hey, you know what? I want to buy this car. Should I buy this car? And show me the sign that you and I know, that you could show me, that we know together. And then Marina would put it out there, and then connect with your soul, which runs your body, which makes your body turn around. It's not your brain, because that just makes the little parts work. And that would get you to turn around and see these things. And you would see it enough, in like 3 or 4 times in a day. And then that would mean, yes, go buy the red car. If you get nothing, it means don't buy the red car. Or what it also does not mean is, let me go buy the red car, but instead of putting all the money down on the red car, let me take some of the money and go buy some jewelry with it as well. It doesn't mean that, because when you do that and turn it around and change it a little bit, Mike, with your ego a little bit, they always tend to go south, and things go south for you a lot like that. So instead of doing that, make the right decision, and the one that you are intended to do in the first place, instead of trying to change it around a little bit. Marina is here to try to help you with that, and make it a little bit simpler, a little bit easier for you to understand. But you don't want to, you're not the type of person who wants to lie to Marina. So when you ask Marina to ask these types of questions, and Marina gives you the answer, you're going to fucking follow through with it, because you don't want to lie to Marina. So because, you don't want to lie to somebody who we consider dead or is already gone because you missed them. So you don't want them to feel, they don't feel anger or anything like that, but you don't want them to feel disappointed that you were doing something just to get answers from spirit. So yeah, that's why Marina's here.
Thank you for that. Yeah, Marina was always my biggest cheerleader, and she
Still is.
yeah, and she she always, yeah, she always has been, and she would always be the voice of reason, even when we didn't want her to be. She would always say the right thing, even at the wrong moment.
Yeah, and thought you still needed that. So
Yeah.
so is staying here. So when it's your time to go, I'm not saying it's now because it's not, because you have a long time to go. But when it is your time to go, you're going to see her standing in front of you, and you're going to see her as well as you see me. When you see her like that, then you're going to know you're checking out. But she's going to let you know everything's okay. And
I
then you'll be-
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she passed very unexpectedly a few years ago, and it was very hard on all of us. And but she was always the one that would just, she would show up unexpectedly or show up way earlier than expected. And she
Sure.
always was the voice of reason when, like I said, sometimes no one wanted her to be, but she was
But
always
she knew better.
yeah.
She just knew better. That's all.
Yep, she was always even, like I said, even when no one wanted a voice of reason, she was always the voice of reason. So that lines up with her quite a bit.
Voice is still there. Now you just got to follow it if you choose to. But I don't know, man. I have high hopes for you, but you got to get on track, buddy.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. She's yeah, that tracks for her. It really does.
And for you as well, because it's hitting you hard.
Yeah, no, she yeah, I appreciate that. I will I'll check in with her.
Good, because she's always checking in with you.
Yeah, I see red cardinals every once in a while, and I know it's her because she's always told me, all throughout our friendship, she would always say, just, I mean, not that I think that she knew she was going to be leaving us early, but because I don't think she did, because it was such an unexpected health related thing. But she said, when she goes, she'll send red cardinals. And she was a bit older than me, so I knew she obviously knew she was going to die before I did, even if it was age related. But she said she'd always send red cardinals for me, and I get them.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. So anyway, I think I hope I'm remembering this right. I think you told me you have sorry, I'm trying to refocus now.
Oh, that's okay. You can read it right off my sheet. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I'm going to because I want to get back to you and get back on track for you.
Oh, I'm okay. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
I want to talk about your podcast a little bit. Beyond the Veil, that's the name.
Oh yeah, Beyond the Veil. Yeah,
Yes.
we call it Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson.
Yes.
Me.
Yes,
because that's how I introduce myself all the time. Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson. Me. Because we do our show is primarily based around spirit, around supernatural, everything metaphysical and supernatural. But we also talk about, I just had a guy who I did, it was UFOs and aliens. But we had someone on talk about crystals, essential oils. I had two friends who are mediums who this was a fun one. So they came to me about a year ago saying, we feel like we're supposed to move. Where are we supposed to go? And I said, Arizona. And they were like, really? I was like, yeah, you're going to go to Arizona. You're going to get on a plane. You're going to get there. As soon as you get there, you're going to get your feet on the ground. You're going to know that you don't want to come back to Delaware. And then when you get back to Delaware, you're going to pick up your shit and leave. And they said, so they finally, I said, you're going to think about booking a flight? And I said, yeah, we were thinking about looking at planes last night, where we wanted to go. We felt like we were supposed to go to Arizona too. I said, no, you're going. So they booked a flight. They went there. They got there. They got off the plane, and 2 hours later, they rented a house, and then they came back here and took all their shit and left.
Wow.
Yes, yes, and their mother and daughter, they're both mediums as well. But we always help each other out. That's what we do. And yeah, I had them on. The mother is a medium, and she's also a licensed hypnotist. And then her daughter is a medical medium. She helps heal people with spirit.
That's
and
awesome.
she did tarot cards on the show as well. So we had 4 episodes for the 2 of them. But yeah, we do a little bit. I've had, but we also talk about government and religious control, all that stuff, because there is control. But we do a little bit of everything so that everybody can listen. But yeah, I will bring it up. I had some hate mail come to me the other day.
That was my next question. You knew.
Yeah, I had some hate mail come because this guy, because I did this interview with this guy named Preston Dennett, who was a real good guest. And we talked about a lot of stuff. But the hate mail guy was mad at me because he said I kept interrupting the guest. And I said, well, and I didn't respond back to him, but my response back to it is the same way as this is. It's a conversation interview. I mean, if he wanted to do a show though, he was just going to talk on his own. I mean, then he got with the wrong guy, because I told him, I said, it's going to be a conversation interview, and he knew it. And we actually ended up talking for like 2.5 hours. But the hate mail guy's like, oh, you kept cutting him off. And he did cut you off a couple of times, but you're supposed to just let him talk about his stuff. And I thought, who are you to judge me on my show? I do things the way on my show, the way I do them. And that if he watched, he said, I'm a big fan of Preston Dennett's. I said, well, then that's why you're angry at me, because you just want to, Preston Dennett's got 20 books. If he hasn't said it already, he said it in the 20 books, so, but the whole premise of the show is me talking to them talking to me, that type of back and forth thing, not just me going, okay, Preston, have at it. And I'll just sit here and do nothing. Because I want it to be engaging, and he was engaging as well. And this guy got angry for me, I guess, engaging too much. So
if you want to hear somebody's message uninterrupted, read their book.
Absolutely. He's got 20 of them, so yeah, some people are just fans and some people are just fanatical. Yeah. And he put at the end of the mail, food for thought, Daniel. And I was like, I just had to write you. I said, yeah, you just had to sit there with your thumb up your ass, because you walk around obviously with a stick up your ass all day long. But yeah, I mean, you want an interview that's going back and forth. You don't want to just sit there and let somebody talk. I mean, because that would be boring for the other person. You want to be able to engage in each other, because that's what we're here to do. We are here to engage with each other throughout the world, everywhere. We're not doing enough of that now. People have too many telephones, and there's 10 people sitting there and nobody's looking at each other, but they're all staring at a phone. No one's engaging with anyone anymore. We've lost that in this world. We have to get back to that and get away from all this technological crap. It's okay to enhance that, but when it takes away from everything, what are we doing?
Right. Absolutely. Because if you don't have disagreements, if you don't have conversations, if you don't have back and forth, then it's just a series of monologues, and
right.
nobody learns anything.
Yeah, like if I see something on Facebook and I comment, someone says, oh, well, keep your comments to yourself. And I always tell them, it says on Facebook to comment. It doesn't say only comment if you agree with me.
Right.
It says to comment, because it is called social networking. And
right.
You can't just have one opinion. Everybody has to be able to voice their opinion, and don't get angry at that. They're just telling you what they think. If you have balls enough to put what you want to say on there, then you have to know that someone else is going to say something to you about it. Not everyone's going to agree with you. So, but just because we don't agree on everything doesn't mean we can't be friends.
And the great thing is that just because they chose to comment, you chose to post something, they chose to comment, you don't have to choose to engage,
Right.
and
You
vice
don't have
versa.
to. Yeah, everything we do is a choice. This
Yeah.
guy chose to write me a letter. He didn't have to, but he felt like he needed to.
Right.
And I applaud him for that. He voiced his opinion. I don't agree with his opinion, but you know what? That's okay. But life goes on. Everything's gonna be okay. Sun's still gonna shine tomorrow, I hope.
What's the yeah fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Well,
what was would you say is the most controversial, because that probably wasn't it, I'm assuming it was your first hate mail, but it could not have been your most controversial guest. Who was your most controversial guest, or what was your most controversial topic thus far?
Wow. I mean, he was pretty good. Preston was pretty good. I did have another guy on who talked about government control, but he was pretty right as well. I haven't had anybody like any real controversy. I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I have things that go on with me that I tell people about all the time, and people tell me that that's pretty brave of me to talk about, or brave of to say, particularly about myself, because I know some things about myself and other people as well, but what my actual purpose is here, for my soul's actual purposes as well. And when I tell people, usually their jaw drops, and they usually tell me off camera, I can't believe you're telling people that. And they always say, I've never heard that before. I said, because you've never heard it before, because it has nothing to do with anyone else but me. And then they go, oh, that makes sense. And I go, yeah, so that's why you never heard it. And I said, okay, but yeah. But other than that, I mean, everyone that we have on my show, it has something really to do with the show. I won't just have somebody come on like when other people ask me in different forums about getting a sponsor for the show, because everybody wants to have sponsors, and we got a sponsor that sells CBD oils.
Right.
And I'm all for that. I'm all for if you have to alleviate pain, this is a great way to do it. But am I going to let some guy sell his dick pill on my show? No, because it has nothing to do with my show. Am I going to have some guy sell his sport drink on my show? No, I'm not going to, because that's a lot of the junk in this world that's being put out there, and I don't want that to do anything with, because the basis of our show is telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. There's a lot of shows out there who are like my show, or even on TV, that only scratch the surface. They don't get into the real deal. I'm not afraid to tell the truth. So I think that's probably the biggest controversial thing I have on there, is I'm not afraid to tell the truth, because I know what the truth is. I get the truth every day from them. It's just not everybody can deal with the truth, which is something different. That's all.
Interesting. I appreciate that. So before I forget to ask, where can my audience find your show?
In a back alley down the street from the no. Like if they wanted to find the show, it's at Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson on YouTube. We also have it. The website is www.beyond-the-veil.com. We had to put dashes in there because there were so many Beyond the Veils out there. The very first one we found was talking about Harry Potter books, whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. But Beyond the Veil, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what that has to do with Beyond the Veil. But
Harry who? I've never heard of
that.
Yeah,
Harry who? Yeah. And so yeah, www.beyond-the-veil.com. And then they can go on there and not only see the episodes, or they can listen to them, because we have links for all the all the places you can see it or hear it, YouTube or Spotify or Stitcher and Google. But they can, they can see the YouTube one. And or we also have all there. It also says guest spots as well. So I've done a bunch of interviews for other shows. So every time we do one for another show, and they give me the link, then I put that link on our website so people can listen to not only me doing on their show, but then possibly want to listen to that person for all their other shows, because now it gives them an opportunity to see what their show is like. So
Oh, very cool. Very meta.
yeah, we do that for everybody, because the president of the United States said this, that guy, and he said this during a pandemic. He said, we're all in this together. But you know what? Before he even said it, we have always all been in this together.
Yeah.
We have to realize that, I
Yeah.
tell people all the time, we all live on the same planet. No one's going anywhere anytime soon. We better start to get along with each other before we annihilate each other.
Right.
Because if we don't, man, we're in this together. We're the only difference between you and me or you and some other guy is nothing.
Right.
Because we're all just people. That's all.
Yeah. I love that. I agree with that. That is one thing. I used to have next door. I used to have a preacher who lived next door, and
Oh boy.
well, it's funny because he was the best neighbor, because he never actually preached at us.
That was good.
Yeah. And he was the best neighbor. He was so cool. Every morning he would, we'd see him and he'd say something, real positive to us, always just real nice. And every night he'd say, God bless. And that was it. That was the most church we ever got out of him. But he was just the friendliest guy, nicest guy. And then when he moved, he gave us the biggest hugs and said, I'll pray for you. And that was it. And never, ever again, other than those two things, did we ever, God bless and I'll pray for you. That was the only time he ever said anything that was slightly religious, but he always had nice, positive words to say to us. But he would always give us like these words of affirmation and like positive quotes. Sure. But they were never religious based. And I always thought that was the coolest thing. But he always said, we're all people. None of us are getting out of this alive. We all have to be on the same planet together. Things like that. We're just like always positive things. And I always loved that about him. And so I that's like the only religious person who was in my life, like man of the cloth religious, that was in my life that never made me feel like I was doing things the wrong way. Yeah,
well, you should really know that anyway. So here's the thing. There is no right and wrong. There's no epic failures. There's no mistakes. There is only two things in this world, and two things you're ever going to make decisions for in your entire life. And that is what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Right. And if it doesn't work for you, quit freaking doing it. That's all. It's like if you walk through a door and there's a nail in the floor, you trip over the nail. How do you learn that lesson? You go get a hammer, you bang the nail in, and you walk through the door freely. Or you just become one of those people who continues to walk and trip over that nail over and over and over again. Yeah. And people do that throughout their lives. They either learn lessons very well or they don't, and they just continue to trip throughout their lives. That's all. But just because it's good for you doesn't mean it's good for someone else, and vice versa. Everyone has to do well, because perception is different for every single person. So, like my mom and dad used to say, why can't you be like your brother? Because I don't see the world the same way he does. I don't perceive things the same way. I'd have to do things that are best for me.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you don't do anything wrong in this world. You were created from the same place that I was. We can call it God or the higher power. From a part of him, it makes our soul. Everybody's soul is a divine soul. That's what Jesus was really here to tell us to do, that we're all created equal and we could all take care of each other and share everything in the world, because there's enough of everything in the world for every single person. We just have to share it. But it was the people who are in control and power, the kings and queens and religion, who put him on that cross. And he wasn't the first one on it or the last one on it. That's the crazy thing. And they tortured the shit out of him and murdered him in front of everybody to let them know, if you do what he's doing or follow what he's doing, we're going to do this to you. I mean, the crazy part of that is there's so much control about that. They have everybody out in the world wearing a cross around their neck. Why would you want to wear a form of punishment around your neck?
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. It's punishment. They don't, it's not to remind you of how much Jesus did for you, because Jesus is just letting us know we're all the same. So he really didn't do much for you. He didn't die for your sins because no one sins. They created the laws, so they say you sin, but you don't. But they did this not to remind you of how much Jesus did for you, to remind us all how much control and power they have over us. That's why they want us to continue to follow them under religion. But Jesus had and God have nothing to do with religion. They indoctrinated them into religion to have control and power over everyone else.
I think
And with fear.
I wonder the people who were crucified before Jesus, the people who were punished by crucifixion on the cross before Jesus. I wonder if they look down from heaven. If you follow the Christian Bible, they look down from heaven and go, well, how come I didn't get a necklace? How come I didn't get
Right.
books and stuff written about me?
Right. Nobody's had. Oh man, look at that shit down there. That's fucked up. Yeah.
Or Sam Kinison, the comedian Sam Kinison, used to say, if they had hung Jesus with a rope, or if they had put him on a if they'd drawn and quartered him, would we all be wearing nooses or horses on our necks?
Right. Right. Yeah, because it's all about symbolism for them.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that no matter what the symbolism is, it's always about power and control for them. So they had to come up with something. So, this is what they do. But yeah, that's all it's ever been about for them, is power and control, But they don't want to tell the truth. They don't want Jesus coming back for a second coming, because if he did come back, he would take all their power and control away. And they know that. But they want you to believe that, oh, we can't wait till he comes back. They're so full of shit. They're so full of themselves. It's unbelievable.
I remember, I don't know if it was a bumper sticker or a t-shirt or something, but I remember seeing it when I was really little, not really little, probably about 12 years old. And it said, Jesus is coming back and he is pissed.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Like, yep, he probably is.
Well, he's trying to, what he's doing now is trying to get everyone to wake up and to be more open and to be more enlightened about the truth of things. And that's what he does. And that's what I will say he does with me and does through me. I see Jesus practically every night. When I'm in a dark room, I see him in front of me. I've been around other mediums, and other mediums have told me they have seen him standing right behind me. I've also seen God twice. Not what you think. The first time I saw him, yes. Looked like that Greek god Zeus, that type of real muscular. The second time I saw him, absolutely no gender whatsoever. Nose, little eyes, little tiny nose, little mouth. But when because I see spirit all the time, I see so many spirit TV shows ain't got nothing on me. I see about 1,000 of them every day. It's like being in a room with 1,000 people, except nobody leaves and more keep coming in. And I see them during the day. If I stare at the wall or anything, if I stare at your background, let me try to picture this guy. There's a guy standing behind you. Flat. He's got hair that comes down. It's very flat, and it's parted straight down the middle. Oh, that's because he's still here. He hasn't crossed over. He's got a kind of a sad look on his face, but kind of a little bit larger nose. He's about 45 years old. Yeah, just kind of sad. Got kind of bushy eyebrows. He hasn't crossed over, that's all. So I see spirit everywhere. I don't see just the ones who have crossed over. I mostly see the ones who have not crossed over. And like we were talking about earlier, how you don't believe in hell. There's no such place as hell. I see into that realm. So that's my main gift. I cross spirit over into the light. The light that I cross them over into, this is the part where I wow everybody. It's me. And what I mean by that is the light that shines to show spirit where to go into heaven is actually in a physical body for two reasons. One, to shine so that all spirit can see it all the time because of physical. They were once physical beings, and they know what it looks like once they pass away. So now they know what it looks like again. So it's in a physical body to glow and shine all the time, and two, to be able to cross them over physically. Sometimes I have to talk to them and they ask me questions, and because they ask me questions, I'm in communication with my guides who give me the answers, and I relay the answers back to them, and then I cross them over. And when I cross them over, that happens as well physically as well. Sometimes flashes of light go off around me. People see that and they're just not sure what it is. I was actually doing my podcast with my buddy a couple of months ago, and he saw something come out of the wall, come right around, go right into my head, the flash went off. So,
Wow.
but I was with my sister one time talking in a low lit room, and we were talking, and all of a sudden a big flash went off, and she was like, "What the hell was that?" I was like, "Oh, that's just somebody jumping in." And she said, "Jumping in? What do you mean by that?" I said, "Just going in." She said, "Oh, crossing over." And I was like, "Yeah, they're just crossing over." And she said, "But it went off. I saw this flag look like lightning in the room." I said, "What do you think happens? You know, that's the way it happens. Not everybody sees it, but my sister has a little bit of a gift as well." But she was like, "Oh my God, that was crazy." She said, "Does that happen all the time?" I said, "Yeah, every moment of the day. It never goes away." And she says, she said, "How do you get used to that?" I said, "You remember when we were kids and mom and dad used to feed us green beans, and then 30 years later we love eating green beans? It's because you get used to it." I said, "So when you see it all the time, you get used to it." Now, sometimes I don't just see the big flash of light go off, but I see this cloudy mist go in my face, and it's just constantly going in my face. And why is it constantly going in my face? Because for the one reason that two reasons, because 130,000 people die every day, and you're just waiting your turn. But yeah, so I just see it constantly all day long. So it's just all day long. But yeah, my main gift is crossing them over. I'm able to see in that other space, especially in a dark room, and I look at it. When I see into it, it's like I'm standing on a balcony. I'm looking down. There's no structure there. There's no trees and no homes, but I do see like something like a ground. But all I see is gazillions of people just standing around and talking to each other. I mean, they're not physically talking because they don't do that. They do it. It's all in their heads. It's all mental telepathy. But I hear that as well. And trying to tune all that out is crazy. But then they just sit there, and I see them walking past and they're looking up because they see the light. Because when they see me, when spirit sees you, like even when they see you, Mike, they see your frame of your body when they're around you, because spirit is always around you, no matter where you go, no matter what you do. You wake up in the morning, shit, shower, shave, do your daily routine, go to work, do your job. Maybe you don't do your job. Who fucking cares? You come home, you eat some dinner, you watch some TV, you and your husband, and you go to sleep, and you wake up the next day. Spirit's around you 24/7. They don't care what you do because they don't have to do it themselves, because they don't
Right.
shit, eat, breathe, and all that stuff. But they are around us. But yeah, they are around me. And when they see you, they see your frame, but they see your light that's inside of you. That's your soul. They see that and they know that. But some people have a light that's a little bit brighter. And that's what yours is. It's a little bit brighter. And they know that. And that's why you're able to pick up on all these feelings of the ones who are dead as well. So because they're connecting with you, because they're connecting with you, which is your soul. This isn't you.
Right.
I'm talking to you, and the person I'm talking to is your soul, and who's been here 28 times. So but when they see me, they don't see my body frame at all. All they see is a super bright white light. I look like a light bulb to them. Oh, that's the light in heaven. Well, fortunately for them, yes. And so they come to me all the time. That's why I see so many, because they're coming to me. And because they're coming to me, then I tell them where to go and what to do. But sometimes they don't. They just kind of stand there and they look up at me, and I go, "Does anybody want to cross over?" And then they all do this. Gazillions of them all at once do this, talking to each other, and go, and look up at me, and I go, "Yeah, that's right. There's a voice coming from this light. Does anybody want to cross over?" And then the next thing you know, I see them lining up, and they just line up. I tell them where to go and how to go and what to do to get there. And then just start going through it. And it looks like lightning's going off in my room the whole time. But to me, it's just, this is what I do every day. But yes.
That's awesome. That's in the true sense of the word awesome. That is amazing.
When you get to do something like that, when you're doing something like that and you're helping like that, when you're helping, when we help, our true purpose in this world, it's not your purpose to become a doctor or a lawyer. you're actually going to fulfill your purpose while doing that, but you're going to fulfill your purpose while being human. That's the only thing that you have to be to fulfill your purpose. And your purpose is very simple. Yours is the same as mine, same as everybody on the face of this earth. We just are not aware of it because we think we have to use our ego, because a lot of people think, oh, my purpose is going to be so much grandiose than everybody else's, so I can look how important I am. No, that's using your ego. When you do that a lot, guess who's coming back? You are, because you're an egotistic maniac. But what happens is, yeah, because people will come back for the dumbest reasons, because or they just walk around and they hate everybody. But your purpose is you're here to help each other just for the sake of helping, because you can, because you should, because we should do it. And it's going to be in a physical way, but not everybody understands that, because again, they think it's all about them. It's all about me, and I got to take 1,000 selfies on Facebook and blah, blah, or and all that bullshit. But when you do that, you're staying on the alternative path. And if you stay on the alternative path, you just come back again. That's all. But it's not punishment or anything. You're just coming back again. But we've all been back. But you've been back 28 times. This is your 20. You've been here 27 other times. You're on number 28. My soul never goes home. My soul's been here over 23,000 times. Wow. It just keeps coming back into another body. It was actually in my grandfather before it was in me. My mom used to tell me the story all the time, but then I was talking to my guides and they told me what really transpired was my grandfather wanted to know when I was going to be born. Now, I have 2 brothers and a sister, and he was concerned when they were going to be born, but he really wanted to know when I was going to be born. Why? Because he knew, because he had this as well. And what it was is when I was going to be born, my dad called him up and said, hey, you got to come to the hospital. He's going to be born. And my grandfather got ready to go to the hospital, and he had a heart attack and died. And when he did, his soul left his body, and then it came into me, and then I was born.
Wow.
Because that's when your soul comes into your body. It doesn't come into your when you are a fetus. It comes into the body when the body is born, because sometimes, as we know, there are things that we call them stillborn babies. Why are they stillborn? Because there's no soul.
Right.
That's why.
That
Because it's like a radio and a battery. If you take that battery out, the radio doesn't work. You put it back in, it works. That's all. But yeah, I saw that came in, and then here I am again.
Yeah.
And here doing the same thing. I wasn't aware of it. I've seen spirit my entire life. I just wasn't aware of it and what was really going on. I didn't put 2 and 2 together until they started testing me and showing me a bunch of stuff. And I finally woke up, and now here it is. And I've been doing it for 5 years, and going to continue to do it and try to help as many people as I can. So because I already know this is my last time.
Wow.
I'm not coming back. But I also know when I'm going to pass away as well, so I know how much time I have left to do this.
That's got to be a little overwhelming, though, right?
I'll be 83 years old. My birthday's in November. It's actually coming up in a couple of days. Today's what, the 16th? Yeah. So in 2 days I'll be 55. But which isn't, you never have they never put the actual age in there. I'll be 55, but I'm actually 55 in 9 months, correct?
Right.
But they never put that in there because it's bullshit. Right. That's why, because it's all bullshit. So yeah, because you've been here so many times. Yeah. So yeah, I'll be 55, but yeah, I'm going to die when I'm 83 years old. I'm going to die in August before my 84th birthday, and it's going to be on the 3rd week and on a Wednesday night. I'm going to go to sleep and not wake up. I will wake up. I'll just wake up out of my body.
Is that comforting to know, or is that like, do you feel like you're up against the clock?
Both.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I got time to do things, but I got to get it done now.
Yeah, it's finite.
Yeah, because here's the thing. There are other people out there doing this as well, trying to spread this message and try to wake people up and help us all understand that we're all created equal. We are all equal. And we have to, the only way we're going to get rid of government is by standing up and saying you're all fired and then starting over again. But that's going to cause a ruckus, a muck, but we need that to have a reset. But it has to happen. But I don't have enough I don't have enough time for myself to get everything done that I need to. So I need to get other people out there helping to spread this message as well. Uh, because it can't just be me for one reason, because it was just one person once before that, but they put him on a cross and murdered him. And the problem is because there are people out there who just don't want the real truth coming out. And I know lots of things. I know so many things. I know I see spirit all the time, and I do the crossing and all that stuff. I'm also clairvoyant. I can also do things, remote viewing. And then I just know things. And I know a lot of things. And a lot of stuff that I do, I don't even actually talk about, because if I talked about it to the wrong person, you'll never hear from me again, because they'll scoop me up and they'll take me away. So like COVID-19, I knew about it 2.5 years prior to it coming, because they told me, and they told me about that in the first stock market crash. Now that I was actually going out during the festivals and telling people all about it. I told people who I thought could understand it and could be okay with it.
Wow.
And I told them how to prepare, told them to save their money, told them to save toilet paper and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And how do I know? Because my wife and I also have 3 years worth of toilet paper down in our basement. So, and 3 years of everything. So, but they told us about that, and we were telling people. And after it happened, I had like 20 people call me up and say, I was so glad we listened to you, because now we're okay. But then I had 20 other people call me up and say, I wish I would have listened to you. We thought you were crazy. And I said, I'm not crazy. Are you going to listen to me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get messages like that all the time. If you think the riots last year were bad, not compared to what's coming.
Wow. Wow. Well,
It's getting worse.
I
And you know
I
what
have to
you
say,
know the bad part about that? You already know that.
I want to say, I hope you're wrong. I mean, I do hope you're wrong. Obviously, I hope you're wrong. But
it has to happen. Spirit has influenced things to happen before, because they want change in the world. They want us to be able to take care of each other and do the right thing. And we're just not. I mean, we all know that. And one of those influences was 9/11. And that didn't work. It worked out for a little while, but it didn't. I know a lot of people died, but you know what? People die every day anyway, because there's two things you always have to know. There's two rules in this world. As long as you comprehend them, as long as you understand them, and you'll appreciate everyone's life around you, including your own. And rule number one is people die every day. And rule number two is you can't change rule number one. When it's your time to go, it just is. Everyone dies.
Right.
Like your friend said, no one gets out of this life alive. You just don't.
Yeah.
No one lives to be 150 years old, especially because by that point it hurts to pee, and you don't want to be here anyway. But if you don't finish what you're supposed to do here the first time, then you'll just keep coming back over and over again. Yeah, we got to get it right, because we're not doing very well right now. We're too worried about killing each other over the color of our skin and our sexual orientation, or you know what? We're all just people. Every one of us are people. There is no rule in any book anywhere, because those books are a lie, that you are allowed to love anybody that you want to. Everyone is. No one's doing anything wrong. No one does it.
So
take care of each other.
Yeah, that to me is the most important of messages. I can't imagine things being worse, but I understand what you're saying, and I hope
it won't be of our doing.
Right, I understand, and I just hope that if things have to be the way you say, then I hope the outcome, the other side of it, is worth it.
We will. Yes. And
yeah.
What we were told about COVID, we were told that this was not going to be a 1 year thing. We were told at that time it was going to be 7 years. COVID was just the catalyst of what needed to happen. So
The-
that's
The way
beginning of-
people are acting, I believe that. I mean, I'm here in Florida where people are just, running around willy-nilly, no masks, not getting the vaccine. I believe it's going to last a lot longer than 7 years.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Well, COVID's going to last for a long time,
Yeah.
but COVID is basically the first piece of the domino effect. So that was the beginning of it to set everything else off. It just needs to happen this way, because if it doesn't go this way, there's only the other way that it'll go to, which would be the alternative way. Because they tell me there's always an alternative way. As in life, you can either live the correct path or the alternative path.
Right.
And an alternative has nothing to do with listening to REM. It's just an alternative path. But I like REM.
I do like REM.
Yeah, me too. But it's just another path that you can still live on. It's still yours. It'll just end you up back here again. That's
Right.
all. But the alternative path is that they take away all of our rights, and we're living in like a Nazi Germany type situation here in the United States. So we don't want it to go that way. We want it to go the other way, because what will happen is everything will go bad, and then we will grow out of that to a simpler life. That's all. More positive life.
Well, okay. So to end on on at least a funny note, not that it's going to be
Where's
funny
that
to
comedy
everybody.
part you were talking to me about?
Funny to me, at least, and probably controversial. You said at one point, your parents or somebody used to say, why can't you be more like your brother? And it reminded me of Joan Rivers used to say, her parents would say, why can't you be more like your sister? Why can't you be more like Catherine or whatever her name was? And she said, but Catherine was stillborn.
Awesome, right?
And and I was like, that is the best, most macabre joke. But it's perfect. It's Joan Rivers at her finest. Before she got told to be nice.
If somebody was busting on me when I was a kid, they would say, oh man, the best part of you ran down your mom's leg. I'd be like, what? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so on that note, my best friend in high school, she was the best woman at our wedding. She used to say to especially the jocks in school that would always give her a hard time, she would say, God, over 1 million sperm and yours is the one that made it.
Yeah. Yeah, lucky them, right?
Yeah, she's like, really? Yours is the one. God. So
if we didn't have some type of adversity in our lives, then this would be a boring place.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we would all be exactly alike, and and it would just be so boring. I know some of it, or a lot of it, is a challenge for us. But here's my thing: if life was meant to be easy, what would be the point of living? Because if it was so easy, you wouldn't appreciate the good parts that you have in it. Because some people say, "Oh, this is hell on earth." It's not. You still get to go on vacations and do things, but pain and suffering, that's just part of living. That's part of learning. And you learn to get through it. That's all.
Well, like Scarlett O'Hara said in Gone with the Wind, when Rhett Butler said, maybe there is no hell, and Scarlett said, there is hell. I was raised there.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
well, but you know what? After that, if you here, because we all say, he turned out real shitty and stuff like that, or he's a real shitty. People are shitty because they choose to be shitty.
Right. That is a fact.
In the same way that if you were an alcoholic and I would say, Mike, you know what? I'll take you to classes. I'll keep you away from all that stuff. I'll do everything I can possibly do to help you. But until you choose to stop drinking, no matter what I say or do, isn't going to make a difference. Right. Everything you do in your life is a choice based upon you and what is best for you. And ultimately, you're going to make the choice to do that. And if you're a shitty person, it's because you choose to be shitty. You can choose to not be shitty.
Right. Yeah.
I used to belong to a motorcycle club, and these guys were it was not a great club, MC club, but I had to get out of that because of this coming on and all that. But they were all ex-drug addicts and alcoholics. And, they, and they would say, oh, it's a disease. It's a disease. I said, no, it's not. And I said, what do you mean? I said, you chose to stop drinking. Mm-hmm. You choose to stop doing drugs. I'm a diabetic. I can't choose to stop being a diabetic other than taking medicine for it. But you just decided that you're not going to drink anymore. I can't decide I'm not going to be diabetic anymore.
Right.
I can't decide I'm not going to have cancer anymore. I can't decide that I'm, after having one heart attack, I'm no longer going to have any more heart attacks. You just don't know.
Right.
Things are just going to happen, you know? So you just have to learn to roll with those things and take them for what they are, and understand that something else may come on down the road. Because, you know, as for our websites Beyond the Veil, and it shows this boardwalk with these lights on it and this fog, and you're looks like you're walking into the unknown. But no, what the thing about it is, everyone doesn't realize you're walking into the unknown every single day of your life. You may make plans for something, but something comes out of the blue and you weren't expecting it. You know, as we say, unexpected death, or there's really no unexpected death. Why? Because people die every day. What it is we just don't, we won't want to lose that relationship we have with that person. It just went away, and it catches us off guard. But
the timing sucks.
yeah, it does. But if we all understood what death really meant, and it's not a bad thing, it's a good that people are leaving this world and moving on to something else, something much better. If we understood that, if we were all taught the correct way, we wouldn't think so badly about people's. We'd be celebrating. Yay, they get to go, and yeah, they don't get to pay bills anymore.
Right.
They don't have to. They don't have to go through that chemo they were going through anymore.
Right.
You know, because if we understood that there is something better than this, maybe they would say, you know what, I'm not going to take the chemo because I know I'm going anyway at some point. Why not? Just how about go out with some integrity or some dignity instead?
Right.
Because we could.
Yeah.
But you know why we don't do it that way? Because there's no money in a cure. That's why.
That is a fact, and that is something that this country and a few others need to figure out, because so many other countries have already figured it out, and
yeah,
we need to get on board.
Yeah, because we could take care of each other if we really wanted to. And
that is a fact.
That doesn't need to involve money, because here's the thing: there's enough of everything in the world for everyone to share. We just have to do that. So, in other words, what I mean by that is, you could have a Porsche, I could have a Porsche, your husband could have a Porsche. We could all have a Porsche. We could all put all the doodads on the Porsche to make our Porsches look cool.
Yeah.
But at that point, why would we do it? Because the only reason people have a Porsche is to show them everyone else, look how wonderful I am. Look how much more important I am than you are.
Because I have a Porsche.
If we could all have one, then that reasoning would go away.
Right.
And then we'd all come back to the fact that if we could all have one, why would we need one? Because we're all the same. We're all equal.
Right.
And then we wouldn't have to prove to each other how wonderful. You know, the crazy thing is about proving and all that stuff. Everyone out there is protesting everything in the world right now. Everything. You know what they're not protesting? They're not protesting the Olympics. The Olympics were games that were created by kings and queens to have slaves fight for their freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still playing the Olympics now.
Yeah.
And why? Because it's created by the people who are in power, who want us to continue to do out there, to actually not fight for our freedom, but do this for money to make them richer. We're just doing the same thing, just in a different manner.
The only reason I can see, and it's the only one at all for anybody to still support the Olympics, is that there are some there are some athletes, individual athletes, that if they do well at the Olympics, they can use that as a catalyst to get out of the situation they're in and go to a place, a country, another area of the world where they will have a better life. But for the vast majority, yeah, I know, but for the vast majority of the participants, that's not going to happen.
Right.
You know? So, but it's almost like we're dangling that carrot. You know,
doing it. Yes.
Do well at the Olympics, and you'll have a better life. But for some, it does happen. For every Usain Bolt, there's 10,000 athletes who never make it.
Right. The cure for that would to be for us to let go of this ideology that we have to compete against each other for everything and anything in this world.
Right.
And we just learn to take care of each other and take care of everyone all together, meaning sharing everything in the world, which means no more money, no more competition, no more I have to be better than you stuff. We're all the same. And then when we do that, no one suffers.
But see, that sounds a lot like socialism, and people don't like that.
Well, but you could have your if you wanted a car, you could go get one just to take a ride in it. And then if you didn't want any, or even if you crashed it, you just took it to somebody, they fixed it for you for free. But you would do it, you would be doing something for them as well. Hey, can I have that dress? Sure, but can you come over here and shuck this corn for me? Oh, for the dress? Sure, no problem. But everyone would be doing everything for the betterment of people and the society instead of doing it for how much we can have in our bank accounts, you know?
I love that idea. I think it's a great idea. I'm just telling you that the people who are currently
who want the money, right?
The people who are currently in charge of that don't like that idea.
No, and that's why I say they will come and take me away because they don't want the truth to come out.
Yeah, I can see why they would want to do that.
Yeah, but I'm not afraid to say it, so I don't.
I will trade you an appearance on my show for an appearance on your show where we can discuss this further.
Oh, I will absolutely trade you on that.
We will barter for that.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah, I would love to have you on my show as soon as we get it back up and run. We're going to start recording our show again, I think in January, or maybe February, because we do all of our shows ahead of time. But yeah, I'd love to have you on my show and just chat it up. Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds great. Well, let's end on that note because we're actually way over, but I've enjoyed this. I think it's been great. And and I really appreciate you coming on, Daniel. So I'm going to let you remind us where to find Beyond the Veil. Yes, Beyond the Veil.
Yeah, they can find Beyond the Veil, beyond-the-veil.com. They can find it on that website. They can find us on Facebook with Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson, on YouTube. If they want to come and get a reading with me, they can find me at www.spiritmediumdaniel.com. That's one long word. I'm also on Facebook with that. I also do videos about spirit and all that stuff on YouTube, and that's all on there as well. Yeah, I get out there. I've been around the block. I've sat on the corner a few times. Yeah, I try to be everywhere, accessible. Oh, and I'm writing a book as well about my whole story becoming all this. And then there's a big message after that my archangels gave me. There's 25 of them to put out to people, and it's already finished. I'm just waiting I have other people making it look like a book, because all I did was write, a bazillion paragraphs all in a row. It's not legible one bit. But
it's hard to sell loose pages.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, because nobody would want to do that all day long. And yeah, but I have a book eventually coming out. So, but got to get the message out because it can't just be one.
Very cool. Well, when the book is bound and ready for sale, I will have you back on. But in the meantime, I look forward to being on your show as well. And
absolutely,
we will end it there tonight. But I really appreciate you being on, Daniel. And I'm going to play us out with our theme song, Talk, Talk, Talk by St. Michael featuring Anya Gold. And stick with me. I'm going to talk to you on the other side.
Absolutely.
All right.
Remember this one?
Cabbage Patch. Nice.
Yeah. I was proud of myself to be able to do this too. Can't do that anymore. My hands are all screwed up. There's a muscle mass in my hands.